One is, what did Scott say in his 2-minute conversation to convince you? And second, how many moving trucks are you going to need for your wardrobe?
Our conversation lasted maybe 10, no longer than 15 minutes. All he said was, Kim, it's time to come home. And I asked him a couple of questions that were very, it was just more of a compassion. I asked him questions. I asked him questions about things that I really don't need to share with you, but it was more compassion and care than anything else. I think Scott and I were on the same page in that it wasn't just about basketball. It was about a lot of things that he thought I could help him with, not just at LSU, but in the state of Louisiana. And it touched home. It touched home with me, and it touched my heart.
Hey, Ken, Scott Riley from the Advocate. Obviously, you knew a lot about LSU being from this part of the state, but your years coming to the games when Kramer was playing baseball, did that influence you at all? Did that plant any kind of seed to think that this could be a place where you might like to wind up?
Well, Kramer's influence, Kramer came to LSU because he wanted to play for a national championship. And I didn't need to see the crowds at his game to know what LSU was about. You must remember, I watched Brad Davis catch that ball against Ole Miss. That's a Tangipahoa Parish guy. I watched Burt Jones quarterback. When you're from Louisiana, you just keep up with sports. So I have an amazing memory when it comes to the history of athletics. I could name you Dale Brown's 5 with Eaton Martin, Rudy Mack, and Jordy Hulbert, and the list goes on. You just know sports. I watched my butt get beat by Simone Augustus and fouls and all those kids, Tamika Johnson. I already knew how special a place it can be. And at those baseball games, never, ever did I think I would be at LSU, ever. But I am, and I'll say this, God works in mysterious ways.
Hey, Ken, Michael Cobble from WBRZ here in Baton Rouge. The roster building that you're going to have to undertake, how will you approach that, given the transfer portal and things that are available to you now? What do you feel is your greatest need, and how will you go about tackling that task?
Well, I don't think it's fair to ask me that today because I have not worked with these young ladies. You have 3 of them that I talked to on a Zoom call today. I did not evaluate their talents before I took this job. That wasn't something that was important to me. My job is to develop players. My job is to recruit to LSU. I know the abilities of my coaching staff, and that's not all of them. I know what we can do. I just don't want you to be misled that you think I can take a team and overnight play for championships. But I can take a team and make them better each day. And then we will, as we work with them, we will be able to identify strengths and weaknesses, what we need, and then head out and go get the best talent we can to represent LSU.
Chelsea Boucher with WBLA coach. You are a player's coach. What did you tell your girls at Baylor, and also what was that conversation like with your team here now in Baton Rouge?
What did I tell my players? It's what you can imagine. When you invest in a young person's life and you tell them you're leaving, you feel a great sense of remorse, sadness, because they came to an institution because of you and the program that you built. So you can imagine it was a many, many tears shed. And all I could tell them was I was going home. That I was going home. And that I loved them, and that I hoped that they could understand and not be angry at me, but it's just a feeling in my gut that it was time to go home. What did I tell the current players? They can probably answer that better than you can. I introduced myself to them, my staff to them, and to return, I wanted them to introduce themselves. And it wasn't in great detail. It wasn't a big rah-rah speech. It was mainly an introduction, and that let's go win some basketball games.
Hey Coach, Jared Joseph, Fox 44 in Baton Rouge. You've spoken multiple times about having the championship coaching here at LSU. What is your first step to building this program towards that?
Well, we can't. It's not going to happen overnight. I must repeat that over and over. I've got to go empty a closet. I got to go pack a house. I got to empty an office. We've got a lot of work to do there in order to get here. And then after you get settled in here, many of them will be home if they're not in summer school. So then you got to get a schedule going. Where are they going to be during the summer? Can we have individual workouts? Can we have team workouts? And then June 1 gets here, and then you got to hit the road recruiting. Will my staff be filled at that time? So it's a lot of things to do, and we will do it as quickly as we can, but we won't go and do any shortcuts. I won't hire a staff if I'm not comfortable just to fill a spot. I want the right people. And does that help you a little bit?
Hey Coach, Doc Duce, WAFB-TV. LSU hiring somebody of your magnitude, what message do you think it sends to the country, not only about LSU athletics, but the institution and what direction it's heading at this point forward?
Well, I want to say this. It's hard for me to hear when you say a coach of my magnitude. I'm very uncomfortable when I hear that. Thank you, but I don't view myself that way. I honestly view myself as that little girl from Tickle. I came from humble beginnings. In my life to play with some of the greatest players to ever play this game. I have been coached by legends, Leon Barmore, Pat Summitt, the list goes on. I was never going to be a coach. My degree's in business administration. I was working on my master's degree at Louisiana Tech and received a postgraduate scholarship from the NCAA for graduating summa cum laude and all that stuff. I was going to be a CEO and fly all around the country. Dr. F.J. Taylor, then the president at Louisiana Tech, had different plans for me. As I was sitting in class, working on my master's, he sent campus police to the classroom. And naturally, you think that it's a bad, tragic situation. And the police said, when your class is over, Dr. Taylor would like to see you on the 16th floor of Wiley Tower. So I trucked up there. Actually, I ran up 16 flights of stairs. And he convinced me to help Leon Barmore, once Sanja Ho retired, to get into coaching. Now I have to be honest with you, and these guys are going to feel that way just as I did as a player. I wanted no more Leon Barmore. I was tired of him. I'd already played for him for 4 years. I was moving on. I loved him though. It was just time to say, The man wouldn't take no for an answer. So he knew more about what I needed to do in life at that age than I did. 36 years later, this is what I've been meant to do in life. I think the statement, if I could say this, how do you get a coach to leave an institution that has had so much success? I think that's what everybody's wondering. And the first thing you're going to wonder is, God, she got a boatload of money. My boat does not float because of money. But let me also tell you, my very first paycheck as a coach, head coach, was for $125,000, and I thought I was the richest kid in the world. All I wanted was resources. I wanted resources that I could sell to young people. I wanted an institution that I could be proud of. I wanted them to leave with a degree in their hand, and I wanted the resources to be able to hire staff to make me look good. And everywhere I've been, those things have happened. Yes, it did take some money to get me away from Baylor, but that wasn't the deciding factor. I can assure you, anybody that knows me, I'll wear the same warm-up for a whole season in practice because I'm too lazy to go spend money and buy something else. So I hope, Scott, that Nike contract that you renew, you can save some money on me. Give it to somebody that likes to wear Nike every day. I'll wear the same old stuff every day. Does that help answer your question a little bit? Go Tigers.
Kim, Andrew Goka to your back left.
I hear you.
Hey, how you doing? CBS in New Orleans. Could you dive a little bit deeper into your relationship with Dee Bro and why that brought you here to LSU? And was that a big factor in you wanting to return home?
Well, Dee Bro, I actually recognized her from afar through the years. And I asked Dee this today. Dee, who was your coach at Southeastern in Hammond? Which you all know that's where I'm from. And she told me, I said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So you knew who Dee Bro was. I watched her gymnastics teams on TV. I watched the crowds and how people loved her and loved the program. Did not really know Dee personally. But my God, in the last week, I feel like I've known her my whole life. Dee Bro talks my language. She talks my language. And I will certainly call on her and Coleman Nary and everybody else that comes across in my path at LSU for help. So help, oh yeah, I need help. I need help. I need help with fans. I need help with administrators. It takes everybody helping and pulling for each other. I'm one of these that Ed Osborne may have to throw me off the field because I might go out there and run a tight end play across the middle when he's throwing to the receivers too much. I might go out there and tell Paul Maneri he's leaving that guy on the mound too long. But the thing they know, I'm a coach's coach too. I will defend a coach in a heartbeat. So don't ever come around me talking bad about a coach because you're barking up the wrong tree.
Kim, Alexander from the Advocate over here. Hey, just the timing of all this. When did you and LSU start talking to each other, and then when did you make the decision?
Timing in everybody's life. The timing in your life is so important. If it doesn't feel right at that time in your life, you don't do it. If it feels right, you do it. And that's another part of why I'm here. It just felt right. The timing in my life, it felt right. Specifically to answer your question, an introduction phone call was made, let me think, last week, early in the week. An offer was made the latter part or the middle of the week, and then I mulled over it and contemplated over it until yesterday afternoon. And I thank Scott, Stephanie, Dee. I know they wanted an answer immediately. Guys, you can't give an answer like that immediately. And I wanted to cover all my bases at Baylor. I wanted to visit with my family. I wanted to visit with my team last week. decision was announced yesterday, as right after I told my team at Baylor. I think the women's basketball team here also was told just about the same time.
I can't Brody Murray with the Athletic. I mean, we've obviously talked so much about why you're coming here, but I mean, just how difficult was it to wrestle with Amy Baylor after everything you built there?
It was very difficult. My eyes are swollen from many a tear. My eyes are red. I have had so many sleepless nights. I can't tell you how many hours sleep I've probably had in the last 5 days, not much. Because when your heart is invested in something so intensely and so passionately, it's hard to let go. But yet when your heart also says it's time to move on and accept your next challenge, and it's at home, it just kept weighing on me. It kept weighing on me. Something felt right here. And it just was icing on the cake that it was LSU. I would not have left Baylor for any other school except LSU. Certainly I had to talk to my staff. The hardest person for me to convince to take this job was Kramer. Y'all believe that, right? It took about 10 seconds, so I waited to call him last. After the offer was made, I made sure he was the last one I called.
Kim, this isn't a question as much as I just hate to miss the opportunity. A couple of rows behind Johnny, they brought you a treat they were trying to show you earlier.
They brought me a treat that they're trying to show me earlier. Oh, my strawberry! John Bell can identify with this. I think I've attended every festival along 51 there in Tangipahoa Parish. I'd always go to Ponchatoula for the Strawberry Festival. Then I'd go to Independence for the Little Italy Festival. Then I'd go to Amy for the Oyster Festival. So I've hit every place on that 51. Ironically, I didn't come to Baton Rouge much when I grew up. But Lord, I have spent more money and time in Baton Rouge when Kramer was here. So those of you who I've paid a lot of money to eat, keep your doors open. I love to eat.
Well, follow up on that, Coach. Where you eating first when you leave here?
What'd you say?
Where you eating first when you leave here?
Well, I don't know. It depends on where they take me. But I can tell you this, and I told Scott this. One of the things I miss the most is food from Louisiana. So I have these visions of on Monday, man, I'm going to get a muffalata. On Tuesday, I'm going to go get a po' boy. On Wednesday, I'm going to go get some crawfish. Do you understand? People don't think like that unless they grow up here. So to answer your question, probably someone will get me something and hand it to me in a bag, and I'll get on the plane, head back, and I'll eat whatever it is because it will be so good. Oh, they don't want me to forget about Idaho barbecue in Hammond now. You got it, Idaho barbecue, dressed with sauce. We good? As Coach Ed Orgeron will say, go Tigers!